Ben McAdoo did say that Sam Darnold was their starter and then walked it back less than 100 seconds later. So who knows? Let me ask you this. What do you think the Panthers should do with that 6th overall pick?
Yeah, guys, I think they should look at that 6th overall pick and not use it. I think they should trade it. We have to remember, they don't pick again until number 137 overall. They have time to go from Charlotte to Baton Rouge, eat at Piccadilly with Ryan, go back to Charlotte and make this pick. They have so many needs as well, guys. Like, this is not a team that's one player away. They need a left tackle to go with that quarterback. So if I'm the Carolina Panthers, I'm calling every team that wants to come up for an offensive tackle, wants to come up for maybe the 3rd pass rusher if they're still on the board, or even teams that want to come up for a wide receiver. You almost have to get out of this 6th pick. And maybe you're picking Kenny Pickett at 10, 11, 12 instead of number 6 overall, where I don't think anyone believes his value is at, but then also getting some of that draft capital. And if it means throwing Christian McCaffrey in there as well, I'm okay floating his name to try to get some capital for Scott Fitterer to start rebuilding this team.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot, Matt, because you mentioned that gap between their 1st and 2nd picks. But I know they'd love to get back. I've heard the same thing about the Giants. I just don't hear any teams that are in a hurry to come up in this draft. So they might have difficulty finding that trade partner for the 6th pick. And then the McCaffrey thing as well. Maybe you could spin him off for picks, but he's going to make $11 million a year for the next 4 years. He played 10 games over the last 2 years. And you think about how teams address the running back position. Javonte Williams, 4 years, $8 million in the 2nd round. So teams from a team-building standpoint, I think that's more the area they're leaning than acquiring an expensive back.
Listen, we all know that Daniel Jeremiah likes to move the sticks. Well, also, David Tepper wants to move the sticks too, and getting rid of Christian McCaffrey and not getting the quarterback you want at 6, that ain't going to move the sticks for this owner. Like, you don't become a billionaire and buy one of these teams and say, you know what, I'm willing to wait the rest of my life to win a championship. And so, though it sounds like a good idea, because none of these quarterbacks are worth the 6th pick, and yes, it would be lovely to get that $11 million a year of Christian McCaffrey off of your books, but who's going to take him? This is all great for fantasy land, Matt, but in the real world, everyone knows that the Carolina Panthers are desperate. So unless we get one of these DNs to fall or one of these tackles to fall that these teams fall in love with, I don't believe anybody even wants the 6th pick, and they certainly don't want it for Christian McCaffrey. And you have an owner in Carolina that ain't trying to give away good players anyway. He wants to win now. This is going to be the executive level versus the coaches level, and I think the executive level will win.
Yeah, RC, if we're keeping McCaffrey, that's good. He's a good player when he's on the field. Like DJ said, we got to get him back on the field. But I think the same thing applies. How do you go up to David Tepper and say, hey, number 6 pick, here's our plan, it's Kenny Pickett? You're going to look him in the face, the billionaire owner, and say, hey, our plan is Kenny Pickett, after we messed up last year and traded a 2 for Sam Darnold. So I think you got to be calling everybody you know in the media if you're the Panthers to say, hey, you know what, we might just take a left tackle. We'll draft Charles Cross or Ike Ekwonu if they're there, to try to almost manufacture a market so you can get out of it. And you're hoping and praying that those guys are available, that a left tackle falls, or that a defensive end falls, because those are the premier positions in this class. There's not great depth at either spot as well. Once you get past the first 3 tackles, kind of falls off. Once you get past the first 4 defensive ends, it really falls off. So that is where the Panthers got to be. They have to hope someone falls and they can get out of that spot, but it's not going to be as expensive as it normally would be.
And see, but that's the thing, man. We've been talking about food a lot here. You know what I mean? We've been talking about Piccadilly. If you're the Carolina Panthers, man, you eating one of them wish sandwiches. You know what I'm saying? Like, I wish there was some meat to this pick, because there really isn't. And so unless, like, some of those guys fall, they are in trouble. And you are absolutely right. If you're Matt Rule, you cannot walk up to David Tepper's office and say, you know what, we want Kenny Pickett. Maybe you could sell them on some of the upside of a guy like Malik Willis. This is the worst possible draft and the worst possible draft spot for the Carolina Panthers, to only have this pick at 6, have to wait until the 4th round, and also for there not to be that one quarterback or one guy we would all believe in enough to walk upstairs and tell our billionaire owner we need to get him here.
Yeah, Swaggo, DJ said it. It's a difficult spot for Carolina. So let's say they don't draft a quarterback. Is there a veteran they should try to get? And if so, which one?
It's Jimmy Garoppolo because there's slim pickings, okay? Listen, the bottom line is the argument that you're going to make for Jimmy G is he's been to a Super Bowl. He's played in very high leverage games. He's shown the propensity to play well at times when things are critical and also be able to manage a football team. Like that kind of cachet with the market that we're dealing with right now in the NFL. Therein lies the real problem. I understand exactly what Matt is saying. I understand what DJ is saying at RC. But I'm going to be the one. I'll be the villain, guys. I put everybody up here on the screen while I'm talking. I will be the villain of this draft season. Because last year when I was talking about Mac Jones not going number 3, everybody thought I hated Mac Jones and he sucked and he wasn't good. That was never my point. Here's the deal with the quarterbacks in this draft, and we know how they control the temperature. They are not good enough for anybody to be afraid of moving up to get them. We would not, like what Matt is saying, if it was a quarterback that we had on a certain level, this would be a completely different conversation. These quarterbacks in this draft, and I hate to do it because these guys, big day coming up, and they can play. They have some good traits and solid. But ain't nobody breaking their neck to go get Kenny Pickett or Malik Willis or Matt Corral. Nobody's doing that. So the whole conversation that we're having, and to Matt's point, with the offensive tackle, the value of certain positions may get somebody to jump, but I just don't know if you can make this happen without that marquee guy that's a signal caller in this draft.
Well, I got to be honest, guys. I'm a guest on your show, and I don't want to be rude, but when I hear an outright lie, I feel like I have to call it out for what it is. And earlier, RC talked about church, and I am the son of a Baptist pastor. 11:30, that's halftime, okay? Nothing's over at 11:30, so I just want to make sure we're correct on the record here.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming, sports, and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.